Namaste, guys. So, here is love of the self, okay, that we're spawned in with, that we come into this world with, right? True love of self, and we can call this connection of self to the true self, like understanding the real self, connection to God, loving God, understanding God, connection to love, to that which is, okay? Like it's kind of like it's like the goal, and it's like the basis of integrity, of life, of reality, right? And so the more you're consciously connected to this, like the better your life is going to be, and and the less you're going to be doing all sorts of shit to fix this actual problem. So the thing is that so this is a full heart. This is a full heart of unconditional love for the self. And the thing is that as we're socialized, almost immediately this starts to become threatened with concepts, okay? And so it becomes threatened, and then this, because of the ass socialization, bad socialization, and bad concepts, it becomes threatened, and we run with these bad concepts in this um, void in our heart for the rest of our lives, basically. And so we're spawned in, and we have this unconditional love for ourselves. Well, here comes the socialization of, let's say, alright, productivity. Yeah, this is what being productive means, and it means you're good, and this is the definition of productivity. It's good, but this is also what it means. You have to do this, right? And so this implies that there's like, that you have to do something for something, right? So that basic implication of that you have to do something for something, even in itself, starts to take away a bit of the unconditional love for the self. I must do something to be something, to love myself, to feel satisfaction of self, right? It also implies there's an opposite to productivity, right? It also implies a negative construct, where productivity is a construct of positivity. The introduction of this concept inherently introduces a concept of negativity regarding like non-productivity and what that is, right? And so that also starts to take a bit away, right? And so now, because you've been socialized and accepted this social construct, right? Because you've accepted it, this has happened, okay? And a part of this all happening is the ignorant opinion that this void now is filled by doing things outside. But that's also why this void is here, right? So there's like a lot of like chicken and the egg at the same time kind of stuff going on here, if that makes sense. And so, yeah. And so you can be someone, so we'll keep going with the productivity thing. You can be someone that is there are certain levels to this. There's a certain level to this, but I'm telling you, this void right here is what drives almost everyone's negative behavior. Almost all suffering is caused by this thing right here, and all the suffering that like comes from it through the manifestation of behavior to try and fill this up, and all why it's there in the beginning. So there's certain people that like have it worse than others, right? So there's certain people who, for whatever reason, the productivity thing did them dirty, did them like really dirty. Like you can say that their parents really valued productivity or something like that, or that they weren't productive or something like that. Like anything that could just geek them out, right? Like there doesn't need to be like an explicit like really like lack of love in the childhood. It can be something like that's just totally like an unfortunate predicament where the childhood is a poor childhood, and that creates a fear in the child where they need to be extremely productive to make sure that they have resources that they felt like they didn't have when they were a kid or whatever, right? And that creates this problem of conditional love for the self and not unconditional love for the self. So this child will look back on their time in high school where they were so hyper focused on being productive and only loving themselves when they got good grades, and they're not going to look back at their childhood and go, I was productive, I got good grades. They're going to look back at their childhood and go, I'm sorry I didn't love you. I'm sorry I didn't love you unconditionally. I'm sorry that I withheld my love due to my obsession over productivity, due to my obsession to get good grades, which is due to my socialization in my poor family, right? So it's not like, right? So it can be this explicit manifestation, right, of the environment, right, where that creates this individualistic sort of thing going on, right? Like we're talking about productivity in this girl who lived in a poor family, but at the very roots of it are this very basic problem of thinking that of the self-love has been threatened and is now in a conditional state, and now the consciousness believes that this void, whatever it is only filled by the external, okay? And so it constantly goes to the external for this, and it causes more and more, it causes more and more suffering among everyone when you're going to the external to fill this. And so let's say the girl we're talking about, right? Like, so her productivity is threatened, right? Let's say her productivity is threatened. So what's really threatened is the self-love, which is like the basis of everything to you. So your self-love is not threatened, and it always is subconsciously. It always is subconsciously because you think it needs to be accumulated externally. So there's always an underlying anxiety, right? And that's why the behavior is going on. But then there's a scenario or situations where it becomes conscious, where you're engaging in the behavior, in the coping mechanism, and oh my God, you're gonna get an F on the test, or you didn't hand the assignment in on time. And so now, instead of just pure subconscious threatening of this self-love, it's a now very conscious threatening of the self-love, but not conscious in the sense that they know, oh, this is all about my self-love. It's just conscious in the sense that they're in a visceral fear response now because their self-love is being threatened. They don't understand that it's their self-love being threatened. They just understand that something's really wrong, because we understand what's going on, right? What usually temporarily makes this feel full, right, is now being threatened. So the reality of this hole is now rearing its ugly face to them, right? And so because it's an illusionary thing, they don't go, oh, my self-love is being threatened because of all this. They go, oh my gosh, I'm going to become homeless, I'm going to get bad grades, people are going to think I'm dumb, what if I am dumb? That's what they do. It's a visceral fear response that's rooted in the coping mechanism, okay? Or that manifests in tandem with the coping mechanism that is rooted in self-love, and that's all it's rooted in, right? And so all that needs to happen is during this visceral fear response is, I love myself. I love myself. What's the problem? I don't need to do this. I love myself. That's it. And when you look back at your certain coping mechanisms, right, or whatever, all you have to do is tell yourself you love yourself and that you're sorry that you withheld love from yourself back then. You don't go, oh bro, we were productive, bro, we had a lot of friends. You go, I'm sorry for withholding my love for the sake of the social construct of productivity, right? That's what you're saying. You're saying, I'm sorry for withholding my love, right? I'm sorry for conditionally loving you. I should have unconditionally loved you, and you start making sure that's what you do for yourself. and as many people all the time. So love you guys.